Hey, so we're currently flying above North Wales. We're heading to IFR VORDME at 100 on frequency 114.10. You can see that here on the CDI. So the CDI has heading just to the west of north, and we are on target, and we are 30.2 nautical miles out, going about 86 knots. So that's where we are. We need to adjust course now. So we're not, there's no autopilot in this, so it's a manual course. We're staying at about 5,000 knots. Now fuel usage seems to be very high. I haven't been on many long journeys in this, and in about 10 nautical miles I've just used 10% of my fuel. If you look at the outside, yeah, we start with 100%. I've come about 10 nautical miles and we've used 13%. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, whether there's a bug. It just seems really high. My throttle, I suppose, is quite high. 70%. Oh shit. But I don't think the fuel usage should be that high. So I don't know what's going on. This is the Scottish Aviation Bulldog. There she is. Really nice plane. Love this plane. I've just taken off from Welshpool, so I did the first part of my journey earlier. I flew from Cardiff to Welshpool, basically because I had to stop for fuel, and then I've taken off to do the second part of my journey. So we're heading to the VORDME, let me just get my book. We're heading to the VORDME Wallasey, 27 miles out. Once we get there, we'll be putting in the Isle of Man VORDME at 112.20. So we're getting off a bit off course, so we're correct. Great plane to fly this. Great plane, you can fly at low altitudes, see all the scenery. I like flying it about, 1,000 foot. Seeing all the trees and the cars and the houses. I flew past my house. That was fun. I also like navigating via VORDME because it's just, first of all, it feels like something feels really aeroplaney. You go in a straight line. So what we're aiming to do is keep that white line in the center, in the center. As I deviate from the course, it goes right or left of center to show me where I've deviated. This little grey triangle that you can see shows that we're moving towards it. So we're on a pretty good course at the moment, but starting to deviate, so we want to correct a bit. So that's how you do it. You just program in the frequency of the VORDME, and then keep your course straight on it. Now with other planes with multiple CDI indicators, you can of course track 2 and not triangulate, obviously, because that would be tracking 3, but you can use another one to help you navigate. So for example, if you had another one off to our right here, we could be tracking that off to our right, and we could be tracking that off to the east, and when that showed up as to the east of us, then we would know we were, say, halfway there, or however far we were there. But you can do that with distances as well, because it's got a DME receiver. So we're heading to the SA VORDME, and then we're heading out to the Isle of Man. Just not long taken off really. We've come about 20 nautical miles and cruising at 5,000 feet. Local time is 2 p.m. I believe. 2:05. As you get closer to the VOR transmitter, it becomes more sensitive. So as you see, the line will deviate more easily, and also with less of a extreme movement of your vessel, of your craft, it will correct itself until you get to a point where you're so close that the slightest deviation sends it haywire, and it's very hard to correct. But you're practically on top of it then anyway, and we'll probably be putting in your next route. So yeah, beautiful scenery. I might be tempted to do a aerobatics. I tried aerobatics the other day and crashed horribly though, so I don't really want to do it. We're cruising about 90 knots. Indicated airspeed on is over 100, but that's probably due to wind. The DME is probably more accurate because it knows our relative position to a static point and the rate that we are traversing, the distance between our position and that static point. So it's probably more accurate than our airspeed indication, which comes from the pitot, and can be higher or lower than your actual airspeed, but is a rough indication. So coming up to the sea now, the Irish Sea I believe. I'm not really an expert on geography, and I know we will be reaching our first sort of VOR pretty soon, 18 nautical miles, and then we head out over the sea. Let's hope we've got enough fuel. Should be straightforward. Continue cruising around 5,000 feet. Just turn out over the sea, the direction we need to go. So I'm hands off the controls at the moment. I've trimmed it, set the throttle. Yeah, we're not dead on 5,000, we're 5,200, but that's okay by me. These are the live weather conditions. However, it is currently night time in North Wales, so they're having a nice clear night. In conditions like these, you can fly visual flight rules. You could just set a heading, follow geographic landmarks. This plane, I was almost going to say ship. I played a lot of Star Citizen, but this plane comes with a GPS system, which I like to imagine like I pull out and tuck away. When it disappears, the metal bar for it goes away as well, though. So the GPS system is a Garmin Aero GPS system, which does. It's not just a GPS; it also has a 3D vision mode, so you can use it for instrument landing. Has the reproduction of some of the indicators we have there, but so is the map. So we're a little bit off the indicated route and heading in the wrong direction, but we can see that, you see on our CDI over there on the right, that's showing we've deviated also, but it's showing us how to correct it, which is to, whereas the GPS just shows us where our plane is pointing and therefore how to correct it. But according to the CDI, we're now back on course and we are parallel to our flight route, so we are back on course. But I prefer not to use the GPS. I have it as a backup in case I get lost. And it did come in handy earlier because I ran out of fuel and needed to find an airport. So I'm quite glad the plane's got it. But I try and do all my flying as much as possible by VORDME because it's more fun, in my opinion. It's way more fun. So you can see the line is deviating a lot now, a lot more easily anyway, with only slight deviations of our course, and that deviation will increase and increase as we get closer. This is Wales, North Wales. I don't think I've ever actually been here. The people of South Wales and North Wales are almost like different countries, because it takes like 8 hours to drive to North Wales. There's no motorways, no dual carriageways, nothing, just little lanes. And it takes forever to get there, so we're almost like different countries. Gained a bit of altitude now, so I may trim down a little bit. So I only started playing Microsoft Flight Simulator about a week ago. It has been a steep learning curve, but that's really part of the fun. That's really part of the fun. So you know, you need to learn about various aspects of aviation, navigation, a lot of acronyms, and that's all aside from learning how to fly the plane you've chosen to fly. You know, learning how to do it in a practical sense is a lot of theory, but it's fun. It's fun to learn because you can put it into practice straight away, and it's a simulator. So you know, if you want to jump straight into flying, you can jump straight into flying. You don't have to go through a cold start procedure. You don't have to go through the checklists. I mean, it's good to get in practice for doing that. But if you want to jump straight into flying, you can. And you can just practice landing over and over, taking off over and over, journeys at different lengths. So that's basically what I've been doing. A lot of time has been spent reading the manual for this thing, because I'm not a particularly fast reader, and it was really interesting. It was, you know, it detailed exactly how the engine worked, how various different systems in the aircraft worked, and all the checks you have to do before you take off, and what you should do to change propeller pitch and all sorts of things like that. So it was very interesting. Now 7 nautical miles out, we're pretty close, but we'll wait till we get closer before we program in the next VME, VOR. So we are heading roughly northwest. So I'll get myself a bit northwest before I program in the VME, and then we should be roughly on the right heading. The VOR DME. Oh, our flaps are down. Oh gosh, no, that was probably the fuel usage. Ah, that makes a lot of sense. Ah, okay, so we should have better fuel economy now that our flaps are not down. So happy to lose a bit of altitude. We've gone off course. So obviously a lot of planes in Microsoft Flight Simulator have autopilot, and you can program in some of the modern planes or modern autopilot systems every aspect of the flight. But I really like flying planes like these. It requires a lot of input, a lot of consideration and thought. But I'm not saying I'm very good at it either. So we're 3.8 miles out now. Nautical miles. See how it has already started to deviate, because it gets more sensitive the closer we get. So there we are, 2.9 miles out, and it's deviating quite rapidly, even though we're heading generally north. So if we want to correct it, I would like to be just about on the, so it shouldn't need as extreme a movement to correct. No, you see, it's coming straight back to center, and it's even overshot. Losing a bit too much altitude now. Well, we are close enough. We're within 1 nautical mile. So now I'm going to turn my heading northwest. So I'm going to head maybe out to about heading 300, 300, 300. And I am going to get us level. We've lost a lot of altitude, so I'm going to gain a bit of altitude. Let us gain. So yeah, I'm by no means an expert, but I'm having loads of fun. Maybe that's a bit too far west actually, so I should probably head out to about 330. So all that adjusting our course, of course, lost us a lot of altitude, and you haven't got a lot of altitude to play with when your cruise altitude is 5,000 feet. So that's something to be aware of anyway. Let's just increase the throttle. Okay, so let's reprogram the radio. So we go into 112.2. And now we have to adjust the CDI, which is a little bit awkward to do. Let's get in close. There we go, so heading 30, so I was right in the first place. That 30 was about where we needed to be heading, so let's get there now. We've gained enough altitude, so we'll cut back on the throttle. Here's an offshore wind farm. Bit of trimming. Let's check our fuel. So 20 gallons left. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Used about 10 gallons, coming about 45 nautical miles. So the thing about this plane, I keep wanting to say ship, is that it's advertised with a range of 540 nautical miles. I don't know what they're talking about really. That might be in the case of perfect conditions, perfect flight, you know, everything just went ideal for the conditions, and you were flying economically with a lean mixture and doing everything exactly correct. Because and you had no reserve fuel. So realistically, you're not going to get 540 nautical miles out of this, unless there is some sort of bug and it's more thirsty than I thought. But I get nowhere near that. So let's cut a bit more throttle. Maybe that'll save a bit of fuel efficiency. Keep us from getting too high. Yeah, so we've come about 50 nautical miles and used 10 gallons. It's got 30 gallons total, so it's realistically 150 to 200 nautical miles range with no reserve fuel. I mean, it is not as advertised, unless I'm just flying it really, really badly, which I might be. I'm not a pilot and I don't really know what I'm doing. Ah, we've come way off course. Ah, I must have thought I was still on... Let's get west. Must have thought I was still on the old VOR. I mean, it's a beautiful game. Really lovely game. So yeah, this is where we should be heading, out to sea, not north. Up the coast of what used to be was in fact the last Welsh kingdom in what is now England, which is Cumbria. So called Cumbria because of course the Welsh for their own country is Cymru, which just means country, and for fellow Welshmen is Cymro, which means countryman. So Cumbria was obviously a country which in their local tongue they just called country, and the English heard that as Cumbria or Cumbria. This is my first overseas flight. Still in the British Isles, but my first flight out over the sea, and I'm quite nervous to be leaving the land. Conditions are good though. Winter sky is blue. Let's get back on the throttle a little bit more. So yeah, the nice thing about flying manually is that you've got to be in charge all the time, and you've got to be doing things and flying the plane in the right direction, and it's nice. I'm not sure I would be that keen. I mean, I do quite fancy flying an airliner or an Airbus or something, perhaps with my cousin as a co-pilot, or me as the co-pilot, and having a go of like a long haul journey and programming all the machines and pressing all the buttons and all of that. It's got a bit of RPM. Was up in the red. I think that is a better cruise for the engine. This may be more fuel efficient now. Yeah, we've used 20% of our fuel and we have come 60 nautical miles. So yeah, about 200. But we might get more efficiency now I've cut the RPM and the throttle a bit. So that's what the purpose of this flight was, to test for how efficient I could get the plane. I think I can see the Isle of Man. No. Is that it out there? God, you can see for far over the sea. Well, if that's it, that's where we're heading. I guess we tune the Isle of Man.
Manchester Center JACGX X-ray 654 is at 5,200 feet, descending 5,000 feet.
JACGX X-ray 654, you have exceeded your clearance point time. IFR flight plan is cancelled.
Okay, I've done something wrong. I've obviously forgot to contact.
Manchester Center JACGX X-ray 654 is type Scottish Aviation Bulldog, 17 miles north of Echo Golf Juliet Zulu, 5,200 feet. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
JACGX X-ray 65 for Manchester Center. Squawk 0143.
Squawk 014 JACGX X-ray 654.
So, okay.
JACGX X-ray 65 for radar contact, 18 miles north of Echo Golf Juliet Zulu, 5,200 feet. Cleared through the Charlie airspace.
So, I don't know whether you noticed, but the ATC automatically set my transponder.
Airspace JACGX X-ray
So I should have done all this with the ATC ages ago, I think. I'm still learning. Still learning. Oh, just wait till we get closer to the airport.
Easy tree 446 climb and maintain 11,000 feet.
Oh, she's gonna rabbit on now. Let's untune her. Let's I remember how to do this, so yeah, there we go. There we go. Alright, mate. So I think we are deviating a bit too much, so we will have to do a big turn and correct. When we're about 5 nautical miles from the VOR we're heading to, we should be quite near the airport on this heading. But it just depends which way we come in, really. Bit of turbulence. So I'm flying at heading 330, even though our indicator is not showing 330 because it's deviated to the right. Now if we were heading away from it and it deviated to the right, we would have to move to the left of where it indicates to correct it. Because we're moving to, when it deviates from to the right, we move to the right to correct it. Sort of makes sense if you get an idea of what it's doing. It's showing our position. I think it's showing. Oh, I'm not sure actually, but I just there's other videos that can explain VOR. I'm just doing a little flight for my friend. So when we're about 15, the actual value is 13.5 nautical miles. Well, I'll say 15 nautical miles, we'll start our descent. I think this is going to be a long video. See if we can crack that a bit better. Okay, now we're on course. Let's check our fuel. Yeah, not bad. Fuel consumption seems to have calmed down. I think the flaps was the issue. I left my flaps up for my whole ascent, therefore creating a lot of drag, which required a lot more fuel to compensate. So that was the fuel usage issue. So perhaps it does get better than 200 nautical miles, maybe more like 400. Oh well. Definitely not the 540 advertised though, because I have flown other flights and seen, and it averages 6 to 12 gallons per hour, and it only has 30 gallons maximum fuel. Now I believe the game is in US gallons, so it has the plane has officially 32 imperial gallons of fuel. In the game it has 30 US gallons. However, if it were to be accurate, it should have 38 US gallons, because 32 imperial gallons is 38 US gallons, as US gallons are smaller. So I think, although it is advertised as 540 nautical miles, perhaps the fuel amount has been incorrectly set in US gallons rather than their relative value in imperial gallons, as their imperial gallon value in US gallons rather than their adjusted value. So that seems to be the problem. So that's why it has less than advertised. And also I believe the advertised range does not account for reserve fuel, and assumes perfect conditions and a perfect flight. So yeah, I recommend checking out this game, or sim, because it's more of a simulator than a game really, as there's no like career mode or anything like that, although apparently there is one planned for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I suppose Euro Truck Simulator blurred the lines between sims and games, because that's kind of a game. It's almost a business management game as well as a truck driving simulation. But yeah, but the money side of things is part of lorry driving, isn't it? Part of freight. So yeah, so I suppose to be a holistic simulation, I had to do that. But there's nothing like that in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You have free flight, you have challenges, you have training, you have nice beautiful flights to go on, just beautiful views, but no career mode or anything like that. Let me try and get this back on course. So we lost a lot of altitude. Probably all our course corrections. So I'm going to just try and gain a bit of altitude, which will keep us over these clouds too. Seems to deviate when we are at the correct course. That's what I don't understand. I think I'm going to increase throttle a bit. Seems determined to descend. Check our fuel. So we've only used about perhaps a gallon in the last 30 or so nautical miles. So yeah, it was the flaps. It was the flaps. Okay. Let's get back on our heading. See, as soon as we get to 30, it deviates like mad to the right, almost like it's wrong. Losing a bit of altitude. I'm going to keep it about there, because if I go on any further it seems to deviate badly. And I think this is the Isle of Man. We finally come to it, and it probably was the landmass we saw far away. Maybe. So we're doing instrument flight rules, but we can go to visual flight rules now, because I'm pretty sure this is the Isle of Man. It's about 20 miles away, 20 nautical miles away, and it is where we're landing. So we're going to now start keeping an eye out for the airport and begin our descent in about 5 nautical miles. So when we get ready for the landing, we're going to put the anti-ice engine on, the carburetor heat, that's also known as. We're going to put the prop back to max. Mixture to full. And see how we do. I'm getting excited now. So now you'll see how bad I am at landing, because I'm not an expert in any way, shape or form, and let's just check the GPS a minute. It's quite handy to have it. So yes, Isle of Man is the airport we're heading to. So yeah. Well, we've tuned the tower, but they are not responding, so we're just going to go there and land. So now we begin our descent. I'm going to cut back on the throttle. We can have quite a shallow descent. I mean, it's supposed to be about 500 feet descent, but we're only at 4,000, and we're an additional 3 nautical miles out from the flight plans, time of descent. Let's put go, nicely descending. Got a connection problem there. Ah, go away. I don't care. So this big black line or dark blue line on the sea might be something to do with that connection problem, which is a shame, really. Let's look out at the sun. Who needs spaceships when you got propeller planes, eh? So the airport should be about 5 nautical miles from the VORDME. So if we approach the island, we can have a look for it. Otherwise we'll have to use GPS. But I know if we get to the center of the VORDME, we have to fly away from it at 80 degrees to EGNS. Shame about this big line on there. I mean, what, do they really have to stream in water? Now I believe the airport is on the right. Let's try and tune them now.
Welshpool Airport information, Echo 1400 Zulu. Wind tree 12 at 11. Visibility 6. Sky condition, ceiling 1,600 feet broken.
Sorry, the camera's going a bit wild. I'm drinking a can of beer. Because that's what you do while you fly planes, you drink beer. So I have a feeling that the airport is near this bay. So that's why I'm heading towards it. But we can check the GPS, even though it's kind of cheating. Yeah, I'm heading directly towards it. So I was right about where the airport was. Actually, we can see it now. So can we request landing yet? No. I guess we just land. Well, let's do it. Well, I'm sorry about this big unstreamed bit. Just imagine Zeus is angry or something. It's created a lightning bolt on the sea. So I just increased the mixture because I realised we're under 3,000 feet. So the mixture is now at full. And that's why you hear the engine pick up a little bit. This is the airport. I believe that's a runway there, so let's get out parallel to it. Begin a turn. So I'm not saying I'm doing this properly, I'm not. Oh, my ice, I need my ice out. Because my throttle's now gone down. Get our flaps out. Flaps down to 1. Bit more throttle. So yeah, so I'm not saying I'm an expert. I mean, I've come at this at the wrong angle, but let's see if I can. Oh, oh. Landed on the grass. Ah. Well, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we got down. So thank you very much. See you again soon.